All right, ladies and gentlemen, could you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bill Gilliland. I'm the VP for Membership for the South Florida Council. Tonight, it's the Join Scout Week Forum. Today is Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. It's approximately 7:35 p.m. With me tonight is going to be Emily Kahn. Emily, wave your hand. She is the Council New Member Coordinator, and of course, Peggy Durbin, who is South Florida Council Assistant Scout Executive. They will be working with me tonight when we go through this program. First of all, I would like to remind you that our selected date for the Join Scouting week is going to be September 12th through the 16th. And we will have a backup date in case we have inclement weather or a hurricane or a tropical storm. And that would be September 19th to the 23rd. And I'd like to remind you at this point that if you are going to be setting up for a school night and you're coordinating with the principal, custodian, and so forth, make sure that you tell them you have a backup date so that if you have one date on the week that we have for Joint Scout Week, and then all of a sudden we have a storm, if you have a backup date the second week, just in case, that's good coordination with the principal. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get started. I want to let you know, and we're going to repeat this a number of times, that all the materials that we're going to talk about tonight, we're summarizing those materials, and the materials can be found on the South Florida Council website. They are under the resource page, and if you scroll down and hit recruiting, there they are. And Peggy Durbin has done a terrific job at putting all these together, and it's more information than you'll ever need to do your Joint Scout night. Okay, we're going to start out though tonight. I'm going to start with the Joint Scout Week coordinator's responsibilities. You are a JSN coordinator for your pack. Let me see if I can bring that up. All right. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
All right. You are the Joint Scout coordinator for your pack. That means you volunteered or selected because you're an organized, responsible person and you're outgoing, and they believe that you're going to do a great job. Now, as the JSN coordinator, you have responsibilities. One of your top responsibilities would be to establish a Scout Night team for your pack. All right. Pick people within your pack that you can work with that can help you do a good recruit night. If you haven't already done so, you should have established a pack calendar, a fee schedule, a leader list, and of course, meeting times and locations of where your pack and your den meets that you're going to be handing out. You also need to coordinate with the Cub Master, your pack committee, your district executive, and also your unit commissioner. You need to work with these four and keep them up to date on all the events and things that are going on with your coordination with that joint school night. Of course, you've got to select a date and a time for your joint school night. And if you are like some packs and have multiple schools, you may have more than one school night. And you need to coordinate with the principal or the principal's designee. If you're not having it at a school, you need to select a location and coordinate and keep the pack and the Cub Master aware of all those developments. Now, we're looking at about 6 weeks out. 6 weeks out, you need to order your flyers, your yard signs, and you need to start advertising your Joint Scout night on social media. Approximately 4 weeks out, you need to sit down with all those folks that you chose in your pack to help you with Joint Scout Night. And sit down with them and start your planning and preparation. Give them the assignments of which you want them to do, and so you'll have a successful school night. One thing I'd like to remind you is I always like a backup situation. What if you're the school night coordinator and you're going to go in and run the show, and the night of it you came down with the flu bug or something like that and you couldn't attend? So you need to have some backup systems there where you have other people that can fill in for you or fill in for those people that they cannot make it. So make sure you have a backup system, because you want to look like you're organized, especially when you're bringing in the adults and the potential scouts. All right, again, coordinate with the school principal and the custodian and the district executive. That custodian is going to be very important. That's the individual that's going to open up your school and close it down. Make sure that you have all your recruitment supplies on hand, such as handouts. Again, copies of the PAC calendar, meeting locations, applications, flyers, yard signs, your unit banner, and welcome materials. Pack those up a week or two before your school night. So all you have to do is grab them. There's nothing worse than a last minute deal where you're looking and running around in your garage trying to find all those supplies that you need for the school night, and the school night is right around the corner that evening. Okay, sign up night. Get there early, folks. I can't say enough about that. I always refer to being on time as late. So set up an hour and a half to maybe an hour beforehand. There's nothing worse than if you're setting up tables and people are walking in with their potential Cub Scouts. The adults are walking in. When you're there, advise the adults, leaders that are completing any applications, that they're going to have to go through youth protection training, and they're going to have to do a background check. Chartered organizational rep, your designee or your unit leader, they also should be attending so that they can sign off on applications. And it's very, very important that you assign someone from your team that will be there to review and approve applications. There's nothing worse than to have applications that are not complete and you have to try to get a hold of the parent, call them or send them an email to get them completed. And of course, you're going to turn in those applications as soon as possible. I also like to talk about follow-up. You know, when they come in that night, it's a good thing to have a roster there. So every parent that comes in signs that roster, leaves their email address and their phone number or their cell number. That way, even if they don't join that night, you can do a follow-up later on. You can contact them and see if they want to change their mind. You also want to follow up for all those that did sign up, make sure those scouts got assigned to a den and are aware of when their den meets, and also where the PAC events are being, or where the PAC meetings are going to be held. As I said before, weeks later, you can check with those parents and youth that failed to sign up for Joint Scout Night. They may have changed their mind. They may want to join. They may have had a rough day that day and the parent wasn't ready to sign up. And again, to complete this little segment, you can find all this recruitment information that I just went through on the South Florida Council website. You go to resources and then recruiting, and you'll find numerous links. Okay, one thing I didn't say in the beginning, and I want to bring it to your attention. We're going to field any questions that you might have near the end of our forum. At the end of the forum that I sent out the agenda, we have a discussion about best practices, and that is the time that we're going to answer all your questions. So if you have a particular question that comes up while we're doing a segment or a summary, write it down so that we can address it a little later on. At this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to mention to you that Peggy Durbin and Jeff Berger have done a tremendous job in trying to improve our school access in the Tri-County area. They have gotten through to principals that we didn't think would ever be able to allow us back into the schools. And I'd like to ask Peggy to talk a little bit about that success. Peggy?
Thank you, Bill. I am excited to be here tonight, and I'm excited to see so many people here. Right now, there's 32 people on this webinar, so I'm really excited about this. Okay, to answer for Bill's question about success in gaining access to schools. As he alluded to, that we have been working very, very hard since April to see if we can get our access into the schools for the new school year starting in September. And some of the news that we hear are the principals are accessible, and that is information coming from my executives because they are going to schools right now and they are talking to principals. They are trying to get access. They are getting access. The principals are coming up to them and saying, yes, please, we want scouting in our schools. Where have you been? We really want you to be here. We'll get everything ready for you and we'll help you in the fall. So there are lots of good things happening and we are excited about that. And part of, I think the change in the tone is it's been very, very rough on the teachers for the last 2 years. And everyone is recognizing how bad it has been on our youth and how, badly COVID has affected their learning and their socializing and all the skills that go along with school. Just
Peg, you went on mute. For some reason, it went on the mute, Peg.
Okay, I'm sorry. What I was referring to is the principals are excited. They recognize that the youth need to be engaged in activities outside of viewing a screen. So they are more than happy to welcome us in. And, we've had principals that are saying, yes, come back to our school. And, like we said, in April, we've been working with securing the affiliation letters for both Broward and Miami-Dade. Jeff and I had a meeting with Dr. Cartwright and her team, and she was super excited about getting scouting back into Broward County. And they are 100% on board with helping us. And we have crafted some letters that they are absolutely enthusiastic about. I called Broward County today just to follow up to see where that letter process is. And they are working on it as we speak. The letter will be dated from July 1 to June 30th of 2023, which is a calendar year for the school. And the same will go with Miami-Dade. And Miami-Dade, the letter is in the signature routing process as we speak. And as it goes through the proper channels, the signatures will be sent on. Depending on people's vacations, it should be coming within the next week to at the latest by the end of this month. We should have those letters. As soon as we have the letters, they will be posted up on the website, and it'll also be communicated out to the different channels to make sure it's there. In that letter, and this is the important part, it's just not a letter that we have requested, please let us recruit, but we have very specifically asked for brief classroom visits, invitational flyers to be handed out, lunchroom visits, posters, a banner in the parent pickup loop, yard signs, and reminders on the announcements. And Dr. Cartwright, when she looked at us right there, and she goes, absolutely, I see no problem with this. The letter will be sent out, but the caveat we have with both Broward and Miami-Dade is the letter is being sent out. The principals are being notified that the school board will endorse this. But once again, the principal owns the school and they have say one way or the other whether they can allow this or not. So with that being said, how do we get a principal to want us to be in their school? Well, we've done our part. So now I need the PACs to do their part, the leaders. Go to your schools, talk to your principals, set up a relationship. Go in there and don't just be the person that shows up once a year and says, hey, can we put flyers in your school? and then walk away and they never see you again. Get a relationship going with your principals so that when they see you, they want you to come because you have helped them, so they will help you. Has your unit created a good relationship between the school and the unit? Have you offered to do a service project at the school? Have you offered to raise or lower the flag at an assembly? Have you offered to spruce up the front entrance? Anything so that you can show that your pack or your scouts in your school want to give back to the school, so they will want to help you. So we've done our part. So the number one way is to how to have good access into gaining the school access is to build a relationship with your school. And I can't go any farther than that. If you build a relationship, then it's a two-way street and they will help you. And that's all I have on this portion, because I promised it would be short.
Thank you, Peggy. Okay, now we're going to take in some steps for a successful joint school night. Again, this is abbreviated. There is a 3-page introduction on that on the website, the South Florida Council website, under recruiting. I'd like to talk about the three P's, which are preparation, planning, and production, which is extremely important. You're doing the preparation by selecting your team, you're sitting down with your team and planning, and then your production is actually the school night. We're going to go over some basics right now. And remember, this is being recorded, so you can always go back and you can take notes during that recording. August 1st, roundtable. Now remember, we have 2 roundtables in August because the September roundtable always falls, or usually falls, on Labor Day, that Monday. So August 1st roundtable is the date. By that date, you should set up your joint school night in each school. If you're doing multiple schools or one school, you should have already put in an order for flyers, yard signs, banners, and start reproducing those materials that you will hand out for your JSN. It's very, very important, and it reminds you that you get with your Cub Master and your PAC committee and get all those resources packed up. I can't tell you how important that is, so that when those folks come in for that school night, you can hand out a PAC calendar, you can hand out all the information that they need for that year. On the August 29th roundtable, that will be a general pickup for your Joint Scout night supplies. Now, if you're working with your district executive and you call them on the phone and say, listen, JP, I need those flyers within a week, and it's August 1st, I'm sure that JP is going to get it for you, and you can arrange times to either pick it up at the council or to get them some other way. So August 29th is a drop dead date. That's a date that you should have all your materials, your yard signs and your JSN supplies. All right, remember, we're looking at September 12th to the 16th, and that is going to be your primary date, and then you have a backup date for the following week. Follow up that the scouts will have a den assignment and they will be active in the PAC. That follow-up is extremely important, those 2 things. All right, let's talk about JSN recruitment a little bit. You're not only recruiting youth, girls and boys, but you're also recruiting adults. Now, over the past few years, what has happened is some scout leaders have said to adults, well, if you'd like to join, we'd like to have you as a leader. Well, it doesn't work that way. We're not babysitters. So in other words, if a girl or a boy are going to join a PAC, mom or dad have to be with them on every activity, every den meeting, every PAC meeting, every PAC event. So since they already have to be there, they should be in leadership or on a committee for that PAC or for that den. So we have to welcome them, bring them in, sell the whole concept that the Cub Scout PAC is fun. And then what we do is we remind them that this is a positive effect on their child. And then we seek them to either be a den leader, assistant den leader, or a committee person. First thing that you're going to do is you're going to put them all together, age equivalent, at a table. You're going to put the potential scout and the parent right next to each other. You know, some PACs used to have their JSN. What they used to do is have a couple of leaders take the kids out and do an activity with them and have the parents at a separate location. It's not a great idea. You can do that later on after the assignments are made up. Always put the parent and the child right next to each other at the table. Now, let's say you have 7 or 8 or maybe 10 people at a table. They're going to be in a tiger den. At that point, you as the JSN coordinator or the Cub Master or whoever's speaking to that table, you walk up and you remind them, look, we need leadership. We need you to be involved with your son or your daughter and be a leader of this particular den, whether it's a tiger, lion, so on and so forth. All right. And that we need an assistant leader or a couple assistant leaders. And then we need the rest of you to be on the committee. And then what you do is you walk away. You tell them, I've got to go to another table. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Well, what are they going to do during that time period? They're going to all look at each other and start discussing it. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a couple of people that are going to step up, which is always a good way to do it. Then you're going to come back and you're going to talk to them and you're going to answer any questions they may have. And what happens is you get good den leaders, and those that don't join, you've got their names on the roster, they may walk away. Now, the other thing I suggest too, and when I was a Cub Master, and I'm going back to the 90s, because I've been with this program almost 32 years. I used to get into a personal story, why I got involved in scouting, why my sons and I got involved in scouting, and why I continued down scouting for 31, 32 years. And I want to give you a little personal story that I have, and then you can come up with your own story so that you can relate that to some people that maybe you're having a tough time selling the program to. You know, in 1991, my son came home. He had from Pines Elementary, and he had that paper in his hand about school night at Pines Elementary. And it was Pack 460. And I came home from work. I was working as a law enforcement officer, working homicide, working 60, 70-hour weeks. And my wife says, you need quality time with your son. You need to go. So I went. My son Adam and I got to the school. 2 boys from the Order of the Arrow were there in sashes, and they met us. And they said, how old is your son? I gave him the age. And he said, oh, he's going to be a tiger. So they took us over to a table, and there were 10 of us sitting there. At this point, someone came up, just like I was saying. My son and I are sitting next to each other. He says, okay. He explained a little bit about the Tiger program. And then he said, okay, folks, we need to have somebody that would like to step up to be the den leader for the Tigers, and maybe a couple of people to be assistant leaders. Well, immediately, everybody's looking around trying to figure out an excuse why they don't want to be a leader and everything. My son tugged on my sport jacket and said, Dad, you can do this. You can do this. I really want to join. And I said, Adam, I said, I'm working 60-hour weeks. I said, I don't know if I've got the time. And he got his eyes all teared up at that point. And he said, Dad, I really want to join. So I said, at that point, I said, look, I will be the Tiger den leader. Immediately after I said that, a guy across from me, was a lieutenant from the City of Miami Fire Department, said, I'll be your assistant. And then another person said, I will be your assistant too. And then the whole group started talking about it because we were sitting right next to my son. Now, if my son was off doing an activity, I might have said, all right, this is my excuse and I'm going to get out of this. But I didn't get out of it. And I'm glad I didn't, because both of my boys went all the way through scouting. They both made Eagle. And at 20 years of age, they went off to college. And they're both law enforcement officers right now. And they're doing very well. So the bottom line is, and you get hooked into the program because I've been here 32 years and I'm still doing it. So personally, think of a story about your child, your son, your daughter getting involved in scouting and why you wanted to be there. You sell this program to everybody. And you know what? You take it from the heart. And these people will say, this is a great program. I want it. One last thing. I used to tell people that I'll give you a 99% assurance that if your child enters as a tiger or as a lion and goes all the way through the program, all the way up to Eagle, 99% assurance that they're going to be successful in life. And when you tell parents that in this type of society, they grab it and it works. Okay. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to go back to Peggy, because Peggy's going to talk about some resources and where to find them.
Okay, can you You've disabled the screen sharing.
No, I'm going to bring it up for you. Okay, you should have it right now, Peggy.
Okay, can you see? Do you see the Boy Scouts South Florida Council? Am I sharing the right?
No.
Which
Not
screen am
quite.
I sharing? Huh. Well, I'm sharing.
I got you on multiple participants sharing.
You have multiple participants sharing?
No, I got you on that.
Okay, but you don't see screen one. Can you
All right,
see
there's
it now?
going.
Do you
There
see
it
it
goes.
now? Got it.
Yep, we got
Okay.
it.
All right, so this is the South Florida Council main page. So you've heard Bill reference several times. Here's resources. So if you drop down, look at all the pages. Wow, there's recharter, popcorn, first aid, recruiting, the magic number. It's also down here too. But let's go here and let's, it's not showing. I can't click. Why is it not opening? Bill, it's churning. Oh no, it's taking forever. Let me stop sharing. Let me see if I can open it.
And then bring it on.
It's not opening, it's just turning.
Okay.
Peggy,
All
do
right.
you want
It
me
is
to put
not
it
turning.
up and then you can talk about it?
Yes, if you could, because it's just not opening up here, it's just turning. Maybe your internet's better than mine right now. Go, yes, thank you, Emily. Okay, so if you can scroll down some, Emily. All right,
There
see
you go.
right here where it says resources. All right, so that's where Bill has been referencing to. So we have right here, it says a membership plan. This is from January. My page just opened, but it says
Okay.
we'll leave where members
Okay.
at.
Okay.
It says membership plan, that's from January to December. What we're really looking for right now is you've got a 2022 fall recruitment plan. You can click it here and it will open up this. So you can print it out. And then we were talking about the new member JSN coordinator responsibilities that Bill just did bullet points for. Here's the complete guide right here. So you can open that up and download it. And then help, how do I recruit scouts and adults? Well, that's the little piece that Bill talked about where you can do the invitation and you can have it's a little scenario in there where it's a nice conversation that you can say, well, hey, this is how it's worked and you know what works for recruiting. So that's very useful there. And then at the end, I think it's 4 pages at the end, it actually gives you a step-by-step how to set your room up. So that's really good. The next one down is the Be a Scout pin invitations. That is an extremely useful PowerPoint that Emily was graciously enough to put together. And it's screenshots of the Be a Scout pins, the invitation and application manager, and steps you through how to use those tools if you're not familiar with them and not comfortable with them, because those are tools you absolutely need to be comfortable and familiar with, because this is a way that you can get these families to join, pay, and be registered in unit all in the same night if you're doing this. How are you going to recruit? Well, you make your scout pin very inviting so that when people pull it up and say, where's a scout unit near me? Your unit pin stands out. And it's a warm and welcoming invitation and not just, well, contact this person for more information. Nobody's going to do that if the pin next to it, a half a mile away, is very inviting. So keep that in mind. This is something new, and I'm going to talk about it at length a little later. And it was posted on the South Florida Council Facebook site. This is a Family Den pilot program. And that I'll talk about in, well, I can do it right now since it's here. The pilot program is something National has come out with, They've offered it up to some councils that wish to participate. And what it means is any den that is a family-oriented den, not just a girl designated pack or a boy designated pack, but is rather a family designated pack. National is now allowing you to have family dens, which means that you can have both the boy and girl in the same den, which has not been the incident from this point forward. It's always been a boy den and a girl den. We can now have the mixed dens, but there is particular information required for that. So please click on those links and read it, sign up, do the MOU. It's not that difficult, but you do have to do some specific steps. And the memorandum of understanding, which is the MOU, must come back to the council so that we can mark the designation in your unit profile so that this is what it is. So that must be completed. So we can do that later. It will be on the splash page tomorrow as well. I was building that website so I could get it up on the front page of the page. Okay, enough of that. There's also fillable invitations for printing or sharing on social media. These are ones that I created. They're just Word documents gives you a tiny little template. You can put your own picture on it. I provided some pictures to give you an idea. If you don't like what I did, that's okay, because you can drop down to the next site where it says Bsa Brand Center. Click on that, and now you're going to the national website with a bazillion help things there. They have printable social things, they have banners, they have all kinds of things that you can print and use in your advertising, however you want to, sell your unit. And then as we drop down, there's another one. I added that today. If you're not the handy person to think of some things, that link right there is a den and pack games. It must be 20 different pack games that you can come up with right off the top of your head that you can play with, and it doesn't require any at all or very few resources to do it. So if you just need something at a pinch, every pack leader knows, pull this thing out of your back pocket and you can keep them occupied. All right, and then the rest of it is you've got your unit recruiting flyer. This is where you fill out this form so that you can send it to your executive and we can get your flyers on your way. We ask that you fill the form out because it's asking for specific information and there's less chance of us making a mistake on the flyer if we use the same form. All right, and then just for your purposes, convenience, there's fillable adult and youth applications. They're totally fillable. If you want to use those, if in a pinch, you can have the link and send it to someone and they can take care of it and email it back to you if they're not using the BSA online registration. Now we have, which is current, the 2023, 22, 23 Broward certificate of insurance and the Miami-Dade certificate of insurance. So if somebody's asking for it, there they are. And then the much anticipated when they arrive will be the superintendent letters. And they are coming soon and I'm working them every other day to find out where they're at. So these are lots of links that you can go to and go into in depth to pull up the information you need and to help you. And there's always your district executive. There's always myself is available, Bill's available, Emily's available. And guess what else is a super tool to use? Google. I Google a lot of things and there's other councils out there doing a lot of different things. Now, just so you know, another council may be doing something and maybe it's the right thing to do and maybe not, but just because another council's doing it or another pack or another den's doing it doesn't necessarily make it the right thing. So if you really want to find out if you're doing the right thing, then you Google and you make sure it's the My BSA site. And it always shows you that it's My BSA and it's not a reference to another council, another pack in another state. So there's our resources and it's all right there for you. any questions, just, write them down and we'll talk about them in the end. So that's where I am concluded there. And thank you so much, Emily, for being able to share that.
Thank you, Peggy, and thank you so much for populating that webpage, because it's a great resource that anybody can go to. They can download it, and it tells you everything you need to know about Joint Scout Night. Okay, what I'd like to do now is that after your school sign-up event is over with, now you're going to have to go into your follow-up or your new member coordination. And I'd like to ask Emily to step forward and talk about that a little bit.
All right. Hi, everybody. So you've had your events, you've advertised, you've had your event or multiple events, you've been to your schools, you've had your yard signs out, your banners. Hopefully, all of your advertising material has had your unit QR code. The resource that Peggy talked about that had the unit pin, the invitation manager, and the application manager also has in that information on where your unit pin is or your unit QR code is. If you can download that, you can attach it to all of your flyers, yard signs, banners, and that will take people directly to your unit's pin where they can register or they can request more information. So they're not going to have to sift through everybody else's. It will take them directly to yours, so there won't be any confusion. So you've done all this, you've advertised on social media. Hopefully your unit has their Facebook, their Instagram, their advertising and things like Nextdoor. You've done all of this work. So you've had your event and hopefully you had a lot of people sign up. But there may be those that are on the fence. Maybe they came, they liked what they saw and they're like, well, let me think about it. So as well as through the year, you may have just new families that wander in. They heard about it, they saw something, their kid talked to this person's kid about it, and they just show up at your meeting. So what should you have? So every unit should have a new member coordinator, at least one. It could be more than one, but should have at least one. So the new unit new member coordinator is exactly that. They are the smiling, friendly face welcoming the new families into the unit. So they are there when a new family comes up, rather than the cub master who's probably very busy with the kids or the committee chair who's probably very busy with the adults, rather than those two people having to sit with a new family and explain everything about scouting and that unit in particular. That could be the new member coordinator that's going over how the pack works, what are the different ranks, where do they buy a uniform? How much do things cost? What's our schedule? What should we buy for camping? All those types of things should be in handy guides that are either printed or can be emailed and shared electronically. And then the new member coordinator will, the new member coordinator will go through those things with those new families.
You want to go out after this? Can you drink?
Sorry, if you're not muted, could you mute, please?
Would everybody make sure they're muted, because I can hear some background. Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, so this is the job of the new member coordinator. So meeting those new families who come to the PAC meetings. The job of the new member coordinator is also to follow up with those families. The Be a Scout pin, hopefully everyone's pin is very inviting. That's a way for people to find your unit through Be a Scout or through the QR code, which you will share. Those requests come in, and the people who are designated, either the key three and then any additional designates that the charter organization rep decides, can see those incoming leads and applications. It is the job of the new member coordinator to follow up on those leads, to invite those people to the meeting, to communicate any necessary information. And we want this done in a timely manner, as in, like, you get a notification by email as soon as they come in. We would hope that within a day or two that you have responded to those leads, to invite them to the meetings and to follow up with them. So your job really is, again, to be that smiling, welcoming face. And then once though you have those families at the meeting, to be their guide, to help them to understand what it is. I love my unit dearly. My son's pack, he's in the troop now, but our very first meeting, I found this pack through Be a Scout, contacted, the people did get back to me like 2 weeks later, but we ended up going. And then that first meeting, not a single person spoke to me. I stood there, my son was having lots of fun, but not a single adult spoke to me at all. That changed quickly. I'm also kind of a shy person, so I was not also very, outgoing. But again, that shouldn't happen. That should not be happening. We should not have new parents that are standing there with no clue of what's going on and not know anyone. So that is, again, our job as a new member coordinator, to make those people feel welcome. Now you have support, the new member coordinator in the unit. So you may or may not know that your district also has a district new member coordinator. Almost every district has one. We are working on finalizing the new positions. All of those, you should have within your districts all the contact information for your membership team, which would be your district executive, your district membership chair, and your district new member coordinator. And those are always people in addition to me and Peggy and Bill and anyone else that you need to go to for resources. Those district new member coordinators then talk to me. And so you have support going from your unit all the way through council, and then I report directly to Bill and to Peggy. So any concerns, any issues, any help, there are definitely lots of resources there. So I hope that hopefully this convinces you the importance of having the new member coordinator, especially for units that are where they're cub master, and if someone like that has been doing that role, that they see the importance of having someone else that can help fill in that. And it doesn't have to be just one person, it could be multiple people. But really, this is your face that you're showing the new people and can help continue your recruiting, which should be a year-long process. It's not just something we do in September. Recruiting is a full year commitment to scouting, and to have people who this is their job definitely helps to take some of the pressure off of some of the other unit leadership. And in the training on how to do the pen and how to do the invitation application manager, I do have my contact information, my email, phone number. Please do not hesitate to use it. I love talking about my scouting and scout book. So I'm kind of a nerd in that way. And then I also have a link in there to the actual scouting document that teaches how to use that. But I have like a condensed PowerPoint. I link you to their 40-page user guide. But I think my thing's a lot easier. But there are resources within that document as well. Thank you.
Anything else, Emily?
I think that covers it for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Emily. All right, now we would like to move into our open floor, a discussion of best practices.